Jake Parker has always been a dedicated young man. In school, he was known for his commitment and for being one of the best athletes in his class. However, after high school, Jake's life took an unexpected turn. Without financial means to attend college, he started working at a local fast food restaurant. Despite the challenges, Jake faced each day with a smile on his face and a positive attitude. It was a typical afternoon at the restaurant, with a bustling crowd, and Jake was serving customers in line when a familiar voice echoed through the room. It was a voice he hadn't heard in years, but one he would recognize anywhere. "Jake? Jake Parker? Is that really you?" Jake looked up to see Mike Stevens, a former schoolmate. Mike had always been popular, the wealthy kid who seemed to have it all. He often boasted about his achievements and would mock others. Jake felt a wave of nervousness, but he kept smiling. "Hi, Mike." "Yes, it's me. How are you?" Mike let out a loud, mocking laugh. "I can't believe it. Jake Parker, the star athlete from school, now working at a fast food joint. What irony, huh?" Jake forced a smile. "Things don't always go as planned, but I'm doing my best." "Doing your best?" Mike repeated, with a tone of disdain. "How much do you make per hour?" "Must be peanuts. I, on the other hand, am off to meet my boss today. I'm being promoted to senior manager at a big company. But hey, congrats on your job. Someone's gotta serve the fries, right?" Jake tried to maintain his composure. "That's great, Mike. I'm happy for you." As Jake prepared Mike's order, he noticed his old classmate couldn't stop taking pictures of him. "What are you doing, Mike?" "Oh, nothing much. Just want to show our old schoolmates how you're doing. I bet they'll love seeing how the great Jake Parker is doing these days." Jake handed the food to Mike, who laughed once more before leaving. "Good luck, Jake. Maybe one day you'll get something better than this." And with that, Mike walked away, leaving Jake feeling humiliated and disheartened. But Jake wasn't someone who easily let things get to him. He knew he was doing his best, and that things could improve one day. He continued to work hard, determined to prove himself more than Mike thought. Jake returned to work, trying to forget the incident. He knew that for many, working at a fast food restaurant was shameful, but for him, it was a means to support his family and maintain his dignity. Every order prepared, every customer served, was a testament to his resilience and determination. Days passed, and Jake continued to find strength to deal with daily humiliations. He knew he needed to stay strong, not just for himself but for his family. His parents were proud of his dedication and always supported him. They knew Jake was doing his best to overcome adversity. Then, one night as Jake was about to finish his shift, he received a message from an old school friend. The message said, "Did you see what Mike posted about you on Facebook?" Jake felt a knot in his stomach. He opened the app and saw the picture Mike had taken of him at work, accompanied by a sarcastic comment. "Look who I ran into today. The great Jake Parker, now serving fries. Who would have thought?" The comments below the photo ranged from cruel jokes to words of encouragement. Jake felt small, but he decided not to let it affect him. He knew he had to stay strong and focused on his goals. The next day, Jake arrived at work with renewed determination. He knew that what truly mattered was his own opinion of himself and the effort he put into his work. He decided that regardless of what others thought, he would continue to do his best. Meanwhile, Mike was confident about his promotion. He had told everyone about his encounter with Jake and how he was about to become a senior manager. He felt invincible, certain that he was on the path to success. That same day, Jake was called into his manager's office. He was nervous, fearing it might be a reprimand or even dismissal. But to his surprise, the manager praised him for his hard work and dedication. "Jake, I've been observing your performance, and I want you to know that you're an example to everyone here. Keep it up, and who knows, a promotion might be in your future." Jake left the office feeling more motivated than ever. He knew his work was being recognized and that with perseverance, he could achieve his goals. He decided he wouldn't let negativity from people like Mike affect his journey. On that same day, Mike arrived at the corporate office for his long-awaited promotion meeting. He was confident and eager to share the news with everyone. However, upon entering the meeting room, he sensed a tense atmosphere. The boss greeted him with a serious look and invited him to sit down. "Mike, we need to talk about something serious," the boss began. "We've received a complaint about a post you made on social media. We take our policy on respect and integrity very seriously here. We don't tolerate bullying or humiliating behavior." Mike felt a chill run down his spine. He knew exactly what the boss was referring to. I was just joking. It wasn't serious," he tried to defend himself. "Perhaps it was a joke to you, but to the person involved, it was humiliating and disrespectful. We're disappointed in your behavior. Therefore, unfortunately, we can't proceed with your promotion. Furthermore, we are suspending you until a final decision is made." Mike left the meeting in shock. He had lost his promotion and was suspended, all because of a thoughtless photo and comment. The feeling of invincibility vanished and was replaced by growing fear about his future. Meanwhile, Jake continued to work with determination. He didn't know what had happened to Mike, but he felt he was on the right path. He knew that with hard work and perseverance, he could overcome any challenges life threw at him. What will happen to Mike now that he faces the consequences of his actions? And how will Jake continue to handle the challenges in his path? Don't miss the next chapter to discover the surprises fate holds. If you're enjoying this story and want to know what happens next, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comments. Have you ever been in a similar situation? What would you do if you were in Jake's place? Share your thoughts below. Jake Parker continued his routine at the fast food restaurant. The humiliation he suffered at the hands of Mike Stevens still weighed on his mind, but he was determined not to let it affect him. Each day was a new opportunity to prove his worth, not to others, but to himself. However, life had more challenges in store for him. The week following his encounter with Mike, Jake noticed that the looks from his co-workers and some customers were different. There were stifled laughs and whispers that followed him as he moved about. Confused, he tried to ignore it, but the feeling of being watched and judged was undeniable. It was then that his co-worker, Emma, approached him during a break. "Jake, did you see Mike's post on Facebook?" she asked, with a tone of concern. Jake shook his head. "Yes, I saw it, but I'm trying not to let it get to me." Emma sighed. "I know it's tough, but you don't deserve to be treated like this. I just want you to know that, to me, you're an inspiration. You work hard and you're always kind to everyone. Don't let an idiot like Mike bring you down." Those words of support were a comfort to Jake. He smiled at Emma, silently thankful for her support. "Thank you, Emma. It means a lot to me." Despite Emma's encouragement, the teasing continued. One afternoon, as Jake was cleaning tables after lunch, a group of teenagers entered the restaurant. They were loud and boisterous, drawing everyone's attention. Jake recognized one of them. It was Alex, a kid who was a year younger than him in school. "Hey guys, look who's here. It's Jake Parker, the star athlete, now cleaning tables," Alex shouted, eliciting laughs from his friends. Jake felt his face heat up, but he continued cleaning, trying to ignore the comments. "Oh, just ignore them," Emma said, approaching to help. "They're just seeking attention." But the teenagers didn't stop at just words. They started filming Jake with their phones, mocking him as he worked. "Hey, Jake, give us a smile for the camera. Let's show everyone how you're doing." Jake tried to stay calm, but the humiliation was overwhelming. He knew any reaction would only make things worse. "Forget about it, Emma," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "They'll get bored eventually." And they did get bored, but not before throwing their trays of trash on the floor, forcing Jake to clean up the mess while they laughed and filmed. When they finally left, Emma and Jake worked together to clean up the chaos they left behind. "You're really strong, Jake," Emma commented as they gathered the trash. "I don't know if I could handle this as well as you." Jake sighed, tired. "I don't have a choice, Emma. I need this job and I'm going to keep doing my best, no matter what." However, the situation was affecting more than just Jake's pride. He began to notice that some regular customers avoided speaking to him, preferring to be served by other staff members. This directly impacted his tips, which were already meager. On a particularly difficult night, Jake came home exhausted and discouraged. His parents, always supportive, noticed something was wrong. "What happened, son?" his mother asked, concerned. Jake explained the situation, talking about Mike and the teasing he had been facing. "I'm trying to stay strong, but it's hard, Mom. I feel so small." His father, a man of few words, placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. "You're strong, Jake. You always have been. Remember that what you do doesn't define who you are. Keep being the person you are, and things will get better." Those words gave Jake a glimmer of hope. He knew his parents were right, but still, the pain of humiliation was real and hard to ignore. Meanwhile, Mike was going through a tough time himself. After his suspension, he struggled to maintain the facade of success in front of friends and family. News of his suspension started to spread, and he began to realize his perfect image was crumbling. In an attempt to save his job, Mike wrote an apology letter to his boss, claiming the post was a harmless joke and he never intended to hurt anyone. However, the boss, firm in the company's policies on respect and integrity, didn't accept the apology. "Mike, your actions have consequences. We can't keep someone who doesn't represent our company's values. We are terminating your contract immediately." Mike left the office feeling disbelief. He had lost his job and now needed to find a way to support himself. The following weeks were a nightmare of unsuccessful interviews and closed doors. The humiliation he inflicted on Jake now seemed like a cruel irony, as he himself was being rejected. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, Jake continued to fight with dignity. He knew each day was a new battle, but he refused to give up. His determination began to catch the attention of his supervisors. "Jake, you've been doing an amazing job here," one of the managers said. "We're considering offering you a leadership position. What do you think?" Jake was surprised but grateful. "It would be an honor. I promised I'll keep working hard." Things began to improve for Jake. He received more responsibilities and a small raise, which made a big difference in his life. He knew he still had a long way to go, but this recognition was a sign that he was on the right path. Meanwhile, Mike grew increasingly desperate. Without a job and without prospects, he began to realize how much he had messed up. He saw the social media posts, people commenting on his behavior, and how he deserved the consequences he was facing. He was sinking into a pit of regret and despair. One day, in a moment of desperation, Mike decided to swallow his pride and seek help. He went to a job fair, where he found a multitude of candidates competing for few positions. The feeling of defeat was overwhelming, but he knew he had to keep trying. Then, something unexpected happened. In the midst of the crowd, he saw a familiar face. It was Jake, now dressed in the fast food restaurant manager's uniform. Mike felt a mix of shame and hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, Jake could offer him a second chance. How will Mike's reunion with Jake unfold? Will Jake be willing to forgive and help the former classmate who humiliated him so much? Let's find out how this story of overcoming and redemption unfolds. The job fair hall was packed. Hundreds of people moved from booth to booth, searching for opportunities that could change their lives. Mike Stevens was there among the crowd, feeling the weight of each rejection. The humiliation of losing his job and the difficulty of finding new employment were beginning to affect him deeply. He, who once felt invincible, was now in a position of extreme vulnerability. As Mike walked through the hall, he spotted a booth with a banner that read "Career Opportunities with Rapid Growth." He felt a thread of hope and headed towards it. As he approached, his heart nearly stopped when he saw who was on the other side of the table. Jake Parker, now dressed in the fast food restaurant manager's uniform, was talking to candidates, handing out flyers, and smiling at everyone who approached. Mike was frozen, his face red with shame. He knew he had treated Jake horribly, and now he stood before him, seeking an opportunity. Jake looked up and saw Mike. Their gazes met, and a heavy silence fell between them. Jake took a deep breath, remembering all the humiliations he had suffered at Mike's hands. He could easily ignore him, turn away, and go on with his day. But Jake wasn't like that. "Hi, Mike," Jake said, with surprising calmness. "What brings you here?" Mike swallowed hard, struggling to find the words. "Hi, Jake. I'm looking for a job. Things have been tough for me." Jake looked at him for a moment, assessing the sincerity in his eyes. He knew Mike was going through a tough time, but he also knew this could be a moment of redemption for both of them. "Let's talk," Jake said, pointing to an empty chair next to the booth. "Tell me what happened." Mike sat down, feeling smaller than he had ever felt before. He told Jake about the suspension, the job loss, and the difficulties he was facing in finding a new opportunity. "I know I treated you badly," Mike confessed, his voice choked with emotion. "I was arrogant and cruel, and I'm paying the price for it now. I just hope you can forgive me and maybe give me a chance." Jake listened quietly. When Mike finished, he took a deep breath and said, "Mike, I believe everyone deserves a second chance. I know how tough it can be when life doesn't go as planned. If you're really willing to change, I can help you." Mike felt a wave of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, Jake. I promise I'll do my best." Jake offered Mike a position at the restaurant, starting at the most basic level but with the potential to grow, just as he had done. Mike accepted, knowing this was his chance for redemption. The next day, Mike started his new job at the restaurant. He was nervous but determined to prove he could change. Jake welcomed him, showing him the ropes and introducing him to colleagues. Despite the initial tension, Mike began to realize that the job, though humble, was an opportunity for a fresh start. As Mike adjusted to the new routine, Jake watched closely. He saw in Mike a reflection of himself when he started at that restaurant. The humility Mike showed now was a stark contrast to his previous arrogance. One day during lunch, Jake called Mike over for a conversation. "How are you feeling so far?" Jake asked as they sat down at a table in the cafeteria. "It's tough," Mike admitted, "but I know I need this. I need to show I can be different." Jake nodded. "Change is hard, but it's possible. I know because I've been where you are now. When I started here, I didn't have many options. But I worked hard, and over time, things started to get better. You can do it too, Mike. You just need to believe in yourself and keep putting in the effort." Jake's words deeply touched Mike. He realized that true strength came from perseverance and the ability to overcome adversity. Determined to make a difference, Mike began to put his all into his work. He arrived early, stayed late, and didn't complain about the tougher tasks. Over time, Mike's coworkers began to notice the change in him. The person once known for his arrogance was now seen as someone hardworking and dedicated. Jake watched this transformation with satisfaction, knowing he had done the right thing by giving Mike a second chance. Meanwhile, the restaurant owner, Mr. Johnson, took note of the changes in Mike's behavior and the positive impact Jake was having on the team. Impressed by their leadership and ability to inspire, he decided to promote Jake to an even higher position as regional manager, responsible for several units in the chain. On the day of the promotion, Mr. Johnson called Jake and Mike into his office. "Jake, I've been observing your work and I'm extremely impressed with your dedication and leadership. I'd like to promote you to regional manager." Jake was surprised and touched. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. It's an honor, and I promise to continue giving my best." Mr. Johnson smiled and then turned to Mike. "And what about you, Mike? Jake has told me about your journey and how you've been striving to change. I'd like to promote you to assistant manager. You've proven you deserve this opportunity." Mike could hardly believe it. He felt tears welling up in his eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I won't let you down." Jake and Mike left the office feeling a mix of relief and happiness. They had come a long way since that humiliating encounter in the restaurant. Now, both were in leadership positions, ready to face new challenges and help others grow. What will happen now that Jake and Mike are in leadership positions? How will they handle the new challenges and responsibilities? And who else will be impacted by their journeys of growth and redemption? If you're enjoying this story and want to find out what happens next, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Do you believe in second chances? How would you handle someone who humiliated you in the past? Share your thoughts below. Jake Parker's promotion to regional manager brought new responsibilities and challenges. He was now tasked with overseeing multiple units of the fast food restaurant chain, ensuring smooth operations across all of them. With his work ethic and determination, he was more than prepared for the role. Additionally, his experience on the factory floor made him an empathetic and understanding leader. On the other hand, Mike Stevens was starting his new position as assistant manager. He had proven his worth and shown a genuine willingness to change. Jake saw this as a personal victory, not just for Mike, but also as confirmation of his belief in second chances. A month after the promotion, Jake received an unexpected call from Mr. Johnson, the owner of the restaurant chain. "Jake, I'm organizing a meeting with all the regional managers at headquarters. I want to discuss new strategies for expanding our business. Can you be here next Tuesday?" "Of course, Mr. Johnson," Jake replied. "I'll be there." On Tuesday, Jake arrived at the company headquarters. The building was imposing, reflecting the restaurant chain's success. He entered the conference room where several regional managers were already waiting. Among them was Sarah Mitchell, one of the most experienced and respected managers in the company. "Hello, Jake," Sarah said with a warm smile. "I've heard great things about you. Congratulations on the promotion." "Thank you, Sarah," Jake replied, returning the smile. "It's a pleasure to be here." The meeting began with Mr. Johnson discussing new marketing strategies and expansion plans. Jake absorbed all the information, eager to implement the new ideas in his units. However, he couldn't help but notice that some of the suggestions seemed to contradict the work philosophy he had cultivated, one of respect and appreciation for employees. After the meeting, Jake approached Mr. Johnson. "Excuse me, sir. Can I speak with you for a moment?" "Of course, Jake. What's on your mind?" "I understand the need to expand and innovate, but I'm concerned about some of the strategies discussed. I think we need to remember that our greatest asset is our employees. If we don't take good care of them, everything else falls apart." Mr. Johnson looked at Jake for a moment, pondering his words. "You're right, Jake. Maybe I got carried away with the new ideas and forgot the basics. Let's adjust our approach to ensure we continue to value our employees." Jake felt a sense of relief. He knew changes were necessary, but not at the expense of workers' well-being. With Mr. Johnson's blessing, he returned to his units, ready to implement the new strategies in a way that respected and motivated his team. Meanwhile, Mike was facing his own challenges as assistant manager. The transition to a leadership role wasn't easy. He was still learning to balance responsibilities and deal with colleagues who saw him differently. One day, during a surprise visit to one of the units, Jake noticed a tense situation in the dining area. Mike was trying to resolve a conflict between two employees, but the conversation was getting heated. "Let's calm down," Mike said, trying to maintain composure. "We can sort this out without arguing." Jake watched from a distance, observing how Mike handled the situation. He knew this was a crucial moment for Mike to show his growth. After a few minutes, Mike managed to calm things down and resolve the issue fairly and equitably. Once everything settled, Jake approached Mike. "Good job there. You handled that well." "Thank you, Jake," Mike replied, relieved. "I'm still getting used to all of this." "You're doing great," Jake said. "Leadership is a continuous learning process. Keep it up." Mike felt renewed pride. He knew he still had a long way to go, but he was determined to keep improving. Jake's presence as a mentor was a constant source of inspiration. Over the following months, the units under Jake's supervision began to show impressive results. The employee appreciation approach was working. Teams were more motivated, and this was reflected in the quality of service and customer satisfaction. One day, while reviewing reports in his office, Jake received an urgent call from one of the units. There was a serious issue with the stock, and he needed to address the situation immediately. Without hesitation, he called Mike to join him. "Let's go, Mike. We have a problem to solve," Jake said. The two quickly headed to the unit. Upon arrival, they discovered that an error in delivery had left the store without essential ingredients for the day. The team was in a panic, but Jake remained calm. "Okay, everyone, let's solve this together," Jake said. "Mike, organize the team to start preparing what we have while I call the suppliers and try to sort out the problem." Mike took charge confidently, delegating tasks and keeping everyone focused. Meanwhile, Jake managed to contact the suppliers and expedite an emergency delivery. Thanks to teamwork and effective leadership, the crisis was resolved swiftly. Mr. Johnson, who was visiting the unit that day, observed everything with interest. He saw how Jake and Mike worked together harmoniously and how the team responded positively to them. After the crisis was resolved, he called Jake for a conversation. "Jake, I'm impressed with what I saw today," Mr. Johnson said. "Your leadership and the way you inspire your team are exactly what we need to successfully expand our business. I want you to take on an even bigger role in the company, helping to train new regional managers and implementing your employee appreciation strategies across all units." Jake was moved by Mr. Johnson's confidence. "Thank you, sir. It will be an honor." Mike, who had overheard the conversation, felt immense pride for Jake. He knew Jake deserved every opportunity he received. And for his part, Mike was also determined to continue growing and improving. How will Jake and Mike handle their new responsibilities? Will they maintain the quality of their work and inspire others to follow in their footsteps? And what new challenges will arise as the company continues to expand? Let's see the unfolding of this inspiring story. Jake Parker and Mike Stevens were now in leadership positions that reflected not only their skills, but also the personal and professional growth they had experienced over time. Jake, as a regional manager, oversaw several units of the fast food restaurant chain, while Mike, as an assistant manager, continued to demonstrate his dedication and commitment in his role. With their new responsibilities, Jake and Mike realized they had a unique opportunity to positively impact the lives of the employees under their supervision. They were determined to create a work environment where everyone felt valued and motivated. One of the first challenges they faced was improving team communication and morale. Jake decided to implement weekly meetings where all employees could share their concerns, ideas, and suggestions. He believed that actively listening to his employees was crucial to creating a positive work environment. During one of these meetings, a young employee named Lily raised her hand. "Jake, I just wanted to say that these meetings really make a difference. Feeling like our opinion matters motivates us to work better." Jake smiled, satisfied. "Thank you, Lily. That's exactly the idea. Everyone here is important, and their voices need to be heard." Mike was also present at the meeting and observed how positively the team responded to the changes. He recalled his own difficult days and how Jake had supported him. Inspired, he decided to share his story with the team. "I know many of you may be facing challenges and difficulties," Mike began, his voice steady. "I've been where you are now. There was a time when I didn't value the people around me, and I paid dearly for it. But thanks to Jake and the chance he gave me, I was able to change. I want everyone to know that, no matter how tough it gets, there's always a chance for redemption and growth." Mike's sincerity deeply touched the team. Many of them approached him after the meeting to thank him and share their own stories of struggle and overcoming. This created a sense of unity and camaraderie among everyone. Over the months, the units under Jake and Mike's supervision continued to thrive. The leadership approach based on employee appreciation was bearing fruit. Sales increased, customer satisfaction was high, and team morale was at its best. Jake and Mike knew that their hard work was paying off. They began to receive recognition not only from Mr. Johnson, but also from the local community and other industry leaders. One day, Jake received a call from a renowned business magazine that wanted to feature a story on the success of the restaurant chain and their innovative leadership approach. "Jake, it's an honor to be recognized in this way," Mike said when he heard the news. "It shows that we're on the right track." Jake agreed. "Yes, Mike, and it's thanks to all our efforts. Each of us has been part of this transformation." The entire team was excited about the prospect of being featured in a business magazine. They knew it could open new doors and opportunities for everyone. Over time, Jake and Mike began to think of ways to further expand their employee appreciation initiatives. They decided to implement a training and development program for all employees, giving them the chance to grow within the company. "We want everyone here to feel like they can achieve anything," Jake explained during one of the planning meetings. "This training program will be key to that." The program was an immediate success. Employees signed up eagerly, eager to learn new skills and advance in their careers. Jake and Mike were present at every session, offering support and encouragement. One of the participants in the program was Sarah, a shy employee who worked in the kitchen. During one of the sessions, she approached Jake. "Jake, I never thought I'd have a chance to grow like this. Thank you for believing in us." Jake smiled. "Sarah, you've always had potential. You just needed an opportunity to show it. Keep pushing yourself, and you'll achieve great things." Those words of encouragement resonated deeply with Sarah and many others. They began to see work not just as a job, but as an opportunity for personal and professional growth. Meanwhile, the relationship between Jake and Mike continued to strengthen. They went from former colleagues with a history of conflict to true friends and allies. They knew that together, they could face any challenge. One evening, after a long day's work, they decided to go to a local cafe to relax and talk. Sitting at a table in the corner, they began to reflect on everything they had been through. Jake, "I can never thank you enough for what you've done for me," Mike said sincerely. "You gave me a second chance when no one else believed in me." Jake nodded. "Mike, everyone deserves a second chance. You've shown that change and growth are possible. I'm proud of you." Mike smiled, feeling genuinely accepted and valued. "Thank you, Jake. I'm proud of us and what we've accomplished together." News of Jake and Mike's unit successes spread quickly. They began to be invited to conferences and leadership events to share their experiences and successful practices. One such event was particularly significant, a national business leadership conference where Jake was invited to deliver the opening speech. On the day of the event, Jake was nervous but prepared. He knew he had an important message to share. When he stepped onto the stage and looked out at the crowd, he saw eager and curious faces, ready to hear his story. "Good evening, everyone," Jake began, his voice steady. "Today, I want to share with you a journey of challenges, growth, and above all, second chances." He recounted the story from the beginning, from the time he started working in fast food to his rise to regional manager. He talked about the difficulties, the humiliations, and how employee appreciation transformed not only the business but also the lives of everyone involved. The audience was completely engaged. They applauded standing when Jake finished his speech, inspired by his message of resilience and compassionate leadership. This was the inspiring journey of Jake and Mike, showing that resilience and valuing people can transform lives. But this story is just one of the many exciting ones we have on our channel. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and explore our other videos. Each video brings valuable lessons and emotional moments that are sure to touch your heart. Leave your comment below and share your experiences of second chances and growth.